pick.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Negotiate.
800 bucks. 900. 850.
Close.
Are we doing it? It's a deal.
All right, score.
Flying across the field feeling like that guy did in 1937.
They're the masters of the art of picking.
That's the kind of stuff you dream about.
Most of the time.
I'm gonna give you $600. Nope.
Hello everyone. Welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It's time to stand up in today's. In the latest American Pickers, Mike Wolfe doesn't just land a rare $100,000 flying Merkle motorcycle, but instead, he earns it. Wolfe and Jersey John Saleh head to Rhode Island, where they visit legendary collector Dick Shappy. Known for his meticulously restored antique automobiles and pre-1910 motorcycles, Shappy has spent decades preserving history, not flipping it for profit. But in a pivotal moment, Shappy parts with one of his most prized possessions, a nearly one-of-a-kind flying Merkle. But this sale wasn't about money, but instead about sharing history with someone who truly appreciates it. Dick Shappy's car garage was the stuff of Mike Wolfe's American Pickers' dreams. Shappy is one of Rhode Island's most popular collectors, and the episode reveals that he has been collecting and restoring antique automobiles for over 20 years, which is how long Wolfe has been dealing with him. The picker praises Shappy's keen eye and reveals that he is one of the best buyers in the business. In fact, he is one of the first people Wolfe turns to if he's looking to sell an antique vehicle to someone who truly understands its worth. From classic Duesenbergs to vintage Cadillac V16s, it wouldn't take an expert to determine that this collection is a goldmine. Shappy's garage barely has room for all the automobiles he has collected over the years. However, every vehicle is a testament to his craft and creativity. The antique expert has restored each car with care and precision like no other. Shappy talks about how he doesn't want to give these machines a new life, but rather preserve them in their purest form, where every knob and gear is exactly where it belongs. Shappy's attention to detail has its purpose, too, because these little things can increase a car's value by hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Inside Dick Shappy's private motorcycle collection, and the wild custom car built from a World War I biplane engine. A great example of Shappy's passion for antique vehicles is his fantasy car, as Wolfe calls it. This custom vehicle features the engine of a World War I-era Curtiss Jenny biplane, and Shappy has built the entire car around it. To him, restoring vintage cars is more than just business. It's a way for the collector to honor his passion for history. Even after seeing all of this, though, Wolfe is more interested in the collection Shappy keeps back at home, since not everyone gets easy access to it. The collector then takes the pickers to what he calls the shop in his home, where he holds all his motorcycles. The Rhode Island native explains that after dealing in high-end cars for years, he jumped into the world of bikes over a decade ago. His collection includes everything from vintage Harleys to early Yales and original paint, pre-1910 Indians. The catch, though, is that he wasn't looking to sell any of this. Mike Wolfe buys ultra-rare $100,000 flying Merkle, but only because he earned the seller's trust. However, in a standout moment, Wolfe walks away with one of Shappy's most coveted pieces, a flying Merkle with a self-starter and a 2-speed gearbox. Shappy explained that there are only 2 or 3 more models of this particular bike left in the entire world. That, combined with the bike's 75% original paint, justified Shappy's $100,000 price tag, and Wolfe knew that. Instead of negotiating, the picker agrees to meet his seller's demand and walks away with one of the most legendary bikes in American history. What makes this moment significant isn't just the deal itself, but why it happened. Wolfe has built a decades-long rapport with Shappy, one grounded in genuine appreciation for craftsmanship and history. The picker has been showing up to appreciate Shappy's collection for years, without any intent of pushing a deal. The mutual respect between the fellow collectors was evident from the moment they met. However, Wolfe's ability to learn, listen, and admire Shappy's work for what it is convinces the collector to part ways with a motorcycle that he was clearly so attached to. At the end of the day, Shappy didn't sell the Merkle to a guy with deep pockets, because that was never his intention. As a true vintage automobile enthusiast, One can tell that Shappy is truly passionate about preserving the past, and Wolfe was the perfect man to pass this piece of history to. The deal goes to show that the vintage car expert does sell on occasion, but only when the buyer is worthy. "It's the right bike for me," Wolfe expresses as he loads the bike into his container, and Shappy definitely agrees with him. A source close to the production told fake news outlet, "Mike is passionate about preserving history, and this new project is something he's been dreaming about for years. But fans shouldn't worry, American Pickers * isn't going anywhere. He's just expanding his horizons. *. Wolfe's response: reassurance or avoidance. Wolfe has yet to directly address the concerns, but in a recent, for over a decade, American Pickers star Mike Wolfe has scoured the backroads of America in search of hidden treasures, but few finds compare to his latest jaw-dropping acquisition, a rare flying Merkle motorcycle, valued at a staggering $100,000. In one of the most exciting deals in the show's history, Wolfe unearthed this legendary piece of early 20th century motorcycling history, sending collectors and fans into a frenzy. The hunt for the flying Merkle. The episode, which aired recently on the History Channel, followed Mike Wolfe and his team as they tracked down leads on a rumored flying Merkle stashed away in a forgotten barn. Known for their persistence, the American Pickers crew had been chasing this bike for years, following whispers of its existence through the vintage motorcycle community. After months of dead ends, they finally received a solid tip from a collector in the Midwest. The bike was reportedly owned by an elderly man who had inherited it from his father, a former racer from the 1910s. The owner had kept it hidden for decades, unaware of its true value. What makes the Flying Merkle so special? The Flying Merkle is one of the most coveted motorcycles in the world, with only a handful known to exist today. Produced by the Merkle Manufacturing Company between 1911 and 1917, these bikes were revolutionary for their time, featuring innovative V-twin engine, one of the earliest mass-produced V-twin motorcycles, advanced suspension, a unique leaf spring fork design that provided a smoother ride, racing pedigree. Flying Merkles dominated early motorcycle racing, earning a reputation for speed and durability. Due to their rarity and historical significance, original Flying Merkles in good condition can fetch $100,000 to $200,000 at auction. Restored models have sold for even more, making Wolfe's discovery a true holy grail find. The negotiation, a high-stakes pick. When Mike and his team arrived at the owner's property, they were met with a barn filled with decades of accumulated junk. Buried beneath tarps and old furniture was the dusty, but intact Flying Merkle, still bearing its original paint and brass fittings. The owner, initially hesitant to sell, revealed that he had turned down multiple offers over the years. However, Wolfe's deep knowledge of motorcycle history and his passion for preserving American relics helped build trust. After hours of negotiation and a 5-figure offer, the deal was finally struck. While the exact price wasn't disclosed on the show, experts estimate that Wolfe likely paid between $50,000 and $80,000, leaving room for restoration and profit. Given the bike's potential auction value, this was a steal for the American Picker star, restoring a piece of motorcycle history. Now that the Flying Merkle is in Wolfe's possession, the next step is a museum-quality restoration. Given its age and rarity, every component must be handled with extreme care. Wolfe has hinted that he may collaborate with the Motorcyclopedia Museum in New York or the Wheels Through Time Museum in North Carolina, two of the most respected vintage motorcycle collections in the U.S. Fans of the show can expect to see the restoration process featured in future episodes, with Wolfe documenting the bike's journey back to its former glory. Why this pick is a game-changer. This Flying Merkle acquisition isn't just another American Pickers score, it's a historic moment for motorcycle collectors and the show itself.
Here's why.
Rarity. Fewer than 20 original Flying Merkles are believed to exist. Provenance. This bike's racing history adds to its mystique. Investment potential. Once restored, it could double or triple in value. Cultural impact. The Flying Merkle is a symbol of early American innovation in motorsports. Fan reactions and expert opinions. Since the episode aired, the motorcycle community has been buzzing. Jay Leno, a well-known vintage bike enthusiast, praised the find on social media, calling it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Meanwhile, American Pickers fans have flooded Wolfe's Instagram with comments, many begging him to display the bike at his antique archaeology shops. Auction houses like Meekum and Bonhams have also taken notice, with experts suggesting that if Wolfe ever decides to sell, the Flying Merkel could break records. Conclusion: a legendary find. Mike Wolfe's $100,000 Flying Merkel motorcycle is more than just a rare antique. It's a piece of American history. This epic American Pickers deal proves that even after years of picking, the country still holds incredible treasures waiting to be discovered. For fans of the show and motorcycle enthusiasts alike, this is a story that will be told for years to come. And who knows? Maybe Wolfe's next big find is just around the corner. For fans of American Pickers, Mike Wolfe's knack for uncovering hidden gems is nothing new. But in one of the most thrilling episodes of the hit History Channel series, Mike managed to secure a legendary piece of motorcycle history, a rare Flying Merkel worth an estimated $100,000. The deal was tense, the negotiation was tough, and the payoff was monumental. Here's the inside story of how Mike Wolfe scored one of the most coveted antique motorcycles in the world. The hunt for the Flying Merkel. The episode began with Mike Wolfe and his picking partner, Fritz, before his departure from the show, following a lead on a massive collection of vintage motorcycles rumored to be tucked away in a rural barn. The tip came from a local historian who claimed that an elderly collector had been hoarding rare bikes for decades, including a Flying Merkel, one of the most sought-after motorcycles from the early 1900s. Flying Merkels were produced by the Merkel Manufacturing Company between 1911 and 1915. Known for their distinctive orange paint and advanced V-twin engines, these bikes were ahead of their time. Today, only a handful remain in existence, making them extremely valuable to collectors. When Mike and Frank arrived at the property, they were greeted by the owner, a gruff but knowledgeable collector in his 70s who had spent his life tracking down rare motorcycles. The barn was a time capsule, filled with dusty but well-preserved bikes from the early 20th century. And there, tucked in the back, was the Flying Merkel, covered in grime but unmistakable. The negotiation battle. Mike, an expert in antique motorcycles, immediately recognized the significance of the find. However, the owner was no amateur. He knew exactly what he had. Owner, that's a 1913 Flying Merkel. Only about 20 of these are known to exist. I've had offers over the years, but I wasn't ready to sell. Mike had to tread carefully. The bike was missing a few original parts, but its frame, engine, and iconic paint were intact. After some small talk, Mike got down to business. Mike, what's it going to take to get this beauty out of here? The owner hesitated before throwing out a number. Owner, I wouldn't let it go for less than $120,000. Mike winced. Even for a Flying Merkel, that was on the high end, especially considering the missing components. But he also knew that fully restored, this bike could fetch $200,000 or more at auction. The art of the deal. Mike countered with $75,000, citing the restoration costs. The owner shook his head. Owner, I've had guys offer me six figures sight unseen. I'm not desperate to sell. Frank, sensing the tension, tried to lighten the mood, but Mike knew he had to sweeten the deal. He started pointing out other items in the barn, vintage signs, rare bicycle parts, and a 1920s Indian motorcycle, asking if the owner would consider a package deal. After nearly an hour of back and forth, Mike made his final offer. Mike, how about this $95,000 for the Flying Merkel, and you throw in that old Indian head sign? The owner thought for a moment, then extended his hand. Owner, you drive a hard bargain. But all right, it's yours. Mike had just secured one of the rarest motorcycles in American history, and at a price that left room for profit. Why the Flying Merkel is so valuable. The Flying Merkel is more than just an old bike. It's a legend. Here's why collectors go crazy for it. Revolutionary design. The Flying Merkel was one of the first motorcycles to feature a suspension system, making it smoother to ride than its competitors. Iconic color. The bright Merkle orange paint made it stand out in races and advertisements. Racing pedigree. Merkles dominated board track racing in the 1910s, earning a reputation for speed and durability. Extreme rarity. With only a few dozen still in existence, finding one in any condition is a major score. Restoring the Flying Merkle. Back at Antique Archaeology, Mike and his team got to work assessing the bike. While the frame and engine were solid, it needed original handlebars, correct tires, a rebuilt carburetor, a full paint restoration. Mike reached out to vintage motorcycle experts to track down authentic parts. After months of work and a hefty investment, the Flying Merkle was fully restored to its former glory. The big payoff. So, was the deal worth it? Absolutely. Initial purchase, $95,000, including the sign. Restoration costs, $20,000. Estimated value restored, $200,000 plus. Mike later revealed that he had multiple offers from collectors and museums, but decided to keep the Flying Merkle in his personal collection, at least for now. Conclusion. One of Mike's greatest finds. This Flying Merkle deal stands as one of Mike Wolfe's most impressive picks in American Pickers history. It had everything. For fans of the show, it was a reminder of why American Pickers remains so compelling. It's not just about the money, but the thrill of the hunt and the preservation of history.